Hello everyone. I am live on YouTube. Um, hmm. I know this is a spare of the moment thing. I didn't. This live stream probably won't be very long. The only reason why I've decided to do one on YouTube is because I attempted to do one on TikTok, and I didn't get a lot of interaction. So probably we'll get less on YouTube, especially because the it seems like lately the I've been getting I haven't really been interacting with a lot of the people that I've been the closest to on YouTube. A lot of my consistent viewers and followers have completely disappeared on me, frankly. And and so the reason why I decided to do a live stream though was because there was no one else was in the house today, and so I decided to do one um, because there wouldn't be any distraction. So that's why I decided to do it. Um, and again, I'm sorry I didn't have time to announce it ahead of time. I'll stay on for a few minutes, maybe 15 minutes or so, see if anyone shows up. And if not, then I'll end it. I have some other things I was going to do anyway. Um, just thought I would give anyone a chance who wanted to interact with me. There, I just thought I would give everyone a chance to interact with me if they wanted to today, since I didn't have anything else to do. Um, and so let me see. It can be kind of awkward when you are live, however, and no one else is has shown up. Oh, again, so if you're here and you would like to ask me um, any questions, now would be the time. I decided to do a live stream today because there wasn't anyone else in the house, so I decided just to do one. Kaylee Haynes, hi. Um, so again, if there's anyone who would like to ask me any questions about my books or my writing, now would be the time to do it. And I decided to do a live stream today simply because there isn't anyone in the house at the moment, and so there won't really be any distractions or anything of that nature. Um, and so, if anyone has any questions about me or my writing or anything of that nature, now would be the time to ask me, because I do not do live streams very often. That's for certain. And so let me see. I just did a live stream on. I just did a live stream on TikTok, and talking about the book Blood Meridian, and which I haven't finished. I've only gotten about um, halfway through it, and it's uh, it's been interesting. Um, overall, I think I took the bookmark out of it. I'm gonna have to find that later, but no, because it's a book essentially about the Old West. It has a lot of violence in it. It's actually uh, quite violent, and in that regard, and so it has a lot of interesting violent elements in it. The violence, in some ways, is almost surreal in some regards. It's incredibly violent, and so in that regard, and so it has to do with these series of scalp hunters and how they go around the West. It starts actually with this person called the Kid, who is someone who he runs away from Tennessee, and he goes to Texas. And at first, he joins the United States Army, and he goes to Mexico. But then um, there's this legion of uh, they go to Mexico to fight the Mexican army, but then they end up being massacred by these Indians. Again, I'm only halfway through the book. I'm not even quite I'm not even quite halfway through it, and so they end up dying in this. And so many of the people characters end up dying in this bloody massacre. Um, but then he ends up jailed by the Mexican army. But then he ends up escaping and joining this gang led by this character called the Judge, who is this someone who is pale with dark black eyes, and he leads this gang of scalp hunters, and they're hired um, to uh, to scalp Indians for the army, and that ends up leading to all sorts of trouble. A man ends up being eaten and taken away by a bear, and it's a very violent book. I will say though that I'm not the biggest fan of the of punctuation. Um, there isn't a lot of punctuation in this book, and I'll tell you one thing is that there are no quotation marks in this book. I wish someone would have told me that there were no quotation marks in the book, but and because of that, it can be very difficult to navigate at times and tell the difference between who's speaking, who's saying what, and so and also because of the lack of punctuation and the lack of commas, sometimes it can be difficult to decipher um, the writing. Like to me, I use a lot of commas in my writing because it makes it sound musical, almost like music. And so that's why so to me, I don't really like the lack of commas, but the book can still be quite poetic at times, but in a rough, gritty sort of way. In that regard, it's a very masculine sort of book. And so, does anyone have any? The reason I did this live stream here is because I did one on TikTok and I didn't get a lot of interaction, so I decided to do one on here since I had the time to do it to see if I had any better luck. Um, and so, does anyone have any questions for me about my writing or anything else? Any questions you would like to ask me? Relevant questions? Now would be the time to do so. If not, while we wait, and again, this live stream, if I don't get any substantive interaction, probably won't be very long because I already spent a lot of time on the TikTok live stream. So I'm a little winded right now, to be perfectly honest. It's just that I like it. I mean, you like Blood Meridian. Well, yeah. Again, when it comes to Blood Meridian, I'm not even halfway through the book yet, so I can't really make a judgment on it overall. But again, but if I don't get a lot of interaction here, I'm going to end this live stream a lot sooner than I did the TikTok live stream because the TikTok live stream um, took a lot of energy out of me. So I'll only stay on here if I'm getting some kind of interesting interaction. And so, let me see. I guess I'll read to you the same passage that I read to the people on TikTok, I suppose. All right, that's what I'll do. Chapter 13, The Dance of Fire and Water, Catherine's narrative. The sea is a shroud of velveteen bliss that always embraces the phosphorescence of noctilucid passions. Every tide, every undulation is a vestige of forlorn love. The water caresses all memories, whether despondent or ebullient. Our souls flow with the currents, beguiled by the eternities that float on the azurous surfaces. Um, Eventually, we start to realize that we are too impure for the waters, too clandestine, no longer beholden. I'll answer your question in a minute, but too clandestine, no longer beholden to the afflictions of sentience. We evanesce into supernal glitters, forever drifting on the tears of paradise. As I continued to gaze into the sea, the firmaments were endowed with pencils of amaranthine. The world fell into a state of quiescence, and the sunlight became a revenant. The waves were like breaths of divinity, tender, compassionate, and elemental. Within their depths, the rhapsodies of creation stirred, caressing the rocks with fervent sumptuosity. Oh, thank you. Happy New Year, Christina. Um, Again, if you have any questions for me or anything you would like to ask me, now would be the time to. Well, I guess I'll answer some questions now, like why nobody watch on TikTok. This is great. Well, I don't know. People didn't watch. Some people did watch, but it was just they weren't asking me questions that were relevant. There was like stuff about things that were in my estimation too personal, or they sounded a bit too trolly, and I didn't get any interaction from the people who I would like to get interaction from. I'm usually getting interaction from people who I don't talk to or don't know, but not people who I would like to interact with. um, but at the same time, I don't want to invite people on as if I'm like being insistent that they come on, which I could do, but it wasn't a complete blowout. Some people did watch, but but hi, Christina. Yeah, I know you watch my videos occasionally, and so and you're also a writer yourself. But yeah, so if anyone has any questions or anything they would like to ask me, now would be the time. In that moment, the division between land and sea melted away, amalgamizing under the violescent light. It seemed like heaven and earth were becoming one. Night and day did not exist, nor did good or evil. Under nature's portentous embrace, there were only blissful acrimonies. Before my mind could alter its odyssey of ignominy, a familiar shadow materialized in the languorous tides. It was the same shadow that had torn my virtue asunder, just as the moon corrupts the purity of the sun. The silvery candescence of eventide wait, where was it? The silvery candescent of eventide swept over the crystalline water, giving the apparition an almost mystical quality. It was like peering into the ambrosias of inveterate welkins, ones which had the blessing of God himself. His gaze was as vast as the sea, entrancing the vespral soliloquies that longed for beauty. He was the very soul of night, and the night whispers like the voice of heaven. And so yeah, does anyone have any questions about that or my writing or my book, The Ecstasy and the Ignominy, my latest book? I suppose one question I would ask if you're there, Fortnite Kid, is if you've seen because I don't believe I've ever seen you in my comments before. I guess my question would be, are you familiar with me, or have you watched my videos or anything of that nature? Because I don't believe I've seen you in my comments before. I've seen Christina in my comments, but yeah, this whole passage has to do with the character of Catherine, who who is upset about her life. She's isolated and alienated. Um, um, she's isolated and alienated from her husband, and she feels that Edward is the one shining light in her life, the means through which she can escape. And Edward obviously feels the same way about her. I heard your book before, meaning you've heard readings before, you've heard of my books. Um, what precisely I don't know precisely what that means, but um, so anyway, does anyone have any questions for me? Anything they would like to ask me? Because now would be the time. I am a little winded because again, I spent a lot of time with the live stream on TikTok. Um, um, oh yeah, of course you've heard of my books. Um, through what means have you heard of my books? Through just word of mouth, or you've seen my videos, or I guess my question would be through what means. Um, and so anyway, I may do again this book, The Ecstasy and the Ignominy. Where do you sell your book? Um, Seen a video. Would that be one of my videos, or because I don't believe anyone else has ever? I don't believe anyone else has ever talked about my work except my videos. Except if they have, I don't know about it. But um, I sell my books on Amazon. All of my books are linked on Amazon. If you go to any of my videos, not my live streams, but any of my videos that aren't short, you will find a link to all of them. And there's also a link. Yes, okay, that's what I thought. Yeah. Um, there's also a link to it in the my about section, although I don't believe that link is clickable. And but yeah, there are so many people I forget who watch me but never comment, so I'm not really all that familiar with them. Now, yeah, I have 7 books that I've published. This is my latest book, The Ecstasy and the Ignominy. I published it in August. It's kind of a combination between Anna Karenina, um, and A Tale of Two Cities, and a little of Crime and Punishment. And I'm trying to promote as much as I can. I'm gonna have to sell this a lot this year because I probably won't come out with another book this year because the disappearance of Richard Blackwood, I probably won't finish it until next year. So I hope I can get this one to sell a little bit more, along with my others as well. But there's this opening passage of chapter 17 that I also like called The Lost Angel that goes, Edward's narrative that goes, the moon shone upon the pellucid brook, purifying the mirrors of celestial artistries. Catherine's eyes were like diaphanous sapphires, upon which the luminosities of the world sang. Under the sovereignty of cerulean pageantries, a phosphorescent effulgence environed her golden locks, gilding the black night into a budescent aurora. Her presence was a treasure worth more than all the wealth in the earth, for goddesses reigned far longer than philosophers and kings. Now, I especially like that passage. That's one of my favorite passages because, again, just as Catherine sees Edward as her salvation, Edward sees Catherine as his salvation. That she is the one shining light in a world that is dark, cold, and industrious. That she is the really the only hope, at least in his mind, that he has to escape from that, to be somewhere else with someone else. All right, so does anyone have any questions for me? Anything that they would like to ask? If not, I will probably end this live stream because again the TikTok one took a lot out of me, but but I'll stay here if you still have questions or things you would like to ask me. If there's anything you would like to ask or discuss. I know it can kind of be awkward when you're staring without uh okay, so if you don't know, um again, you can ask me about my writing or books or theme, how to be a good writer or anything else, I don't know. Um okay, then because the whole point of this is for me to interact with people, but if I'm not getting a lot of interaction, then I don't really have a lot of incentive to stay on. Oh, I just started watching your videos and channel. Um, oh, oh, I'll ask you a question. If you just started watching my videos and channel, what video, what was the first video of mine that you saw or discovered? How did you discover me precisely? I always wanted to ask people that because sometimes I don't know exactly how they discover me. So if you can answer me that question, that would be helpful because a lot of times I don't know how how people discover me. I don't know if it's through shorts, through the search engine. Um, it can be uh, it can be difficult to tell at times. I heard of the TikTok live stream. Um, what do you mean you've heard of it? Like you know that you know that. Oh, okay, okay. It was shorts then. Okay, you saw it through. You discovered me through shorts. Okay, so that clears that up. All right. I know it can be difficult to type on a live stream because it's live, and then the person who sees it is reacting live, and I know that can be very awkward as someone who's also been written in live streams. um, and so don't feel bad if you make a mistake. It happens to the best of us. I'm not certainly not judging you for it. I know I have trouble with it myself. I don't do live streams very often, mainly because I know, and a lot of the people I swear a lot of the people who I normally interact with um, haven't really been showing up lately. Like Christina showed up, but like Miles Knight, I don't know where he is. He hasn't been around forever. He's one of my YouTube followers. John Bergington or something. I can't remember. His last name starts with a B. He hasn't been around in a while. I think he's still around though. He followed me on Instagram, but he hasn't interacted with me in a while. And just several others, just who I normally interact with. I haven't heard anything from. I'm just doing this because I thought I might have some better luck than TikTok. So far, I'm not really having better luck. I mean, yes, I know you're here, but just when it comes to interaction as a whole, I'm not really having a lot of luck. How can you tell me how to be a good writer? Well, it's difficult to surmise in a few minutes, but I guess some of the things that would help would be is that try to write the book that you would want to read. Because if you wouldn't want to read it, then who else will read it? And at the same time, when it comes to describing things like when it comes to description, whether it's describing people or nature, when it comes to describing people, I think it's a good idea to use nature-like characteristics. Like you could say, she was beautiful like a summer day. And when it comes to describing nature, use human-like characteristics like the storm was full of rage. Because if you can take and compare two different beautiful elements, if you can compare and contrast them and combine them together, that will create a more vivid image in the reader's mind. So that's just some advice that I would have for you. And also, when it comes to theme, make sure you know what your themes are. Make sure that you have concrete themes, that you're not just telling a plot that has no themes, because theme will ultimately be the foundation of your story. So if you just keep some of those things in mind, I think that that will go a long way to becoming a great writer. You'll be on the path to becoming a great writer if you keep those things in mind. In my perspective, anyway. So yeah. So thanks for asking that question. So, does anyone have any more? I think you're the only one interacting with me, but does anyone have any more questions for me? Again, the TikTok live stream kind of winded me out, but thank you. I'm writing my own book. Oh well, I'm very glad that you're writing your own book. Um, may I ask what the book is about? So, what is the book about then? Oh, about a game that you played and you really liked it and wanted to write a book about it. Well, I think that's great. I hope you have success with it. We always need more writers in the world, more people to tell stories. So, if you don't have any more questions, I'm thinking about ending this. I was tired from the other live stream, and I'll definitely do another one sometime in the future, but I don't know when. If I do another one, though, I will definitely tell people ahead of time about it. But this was just something that I did because no one was home today, and so I thought it was a good time to do it. And so, do you have any more questions for me? If you don't, I will end this live stream in about 30 seconds. The, oh, the three people that are criminals, they take so it's a heist story then. Okay, so if it's not a oh, okay, so it's a heist story. Okay. Well, that sounds like an interesting story. Sounds like a crime uh film noir uh kind of story. The kind of story that I like. It's all right. So, thank you, Fortnite Kid, for asking those questions. You I hope you have success with your book. I hope you will check out my books as well, The Ecstasy and the Ignominy, and the other books that I have, Silent Reckoning and so on. And since I'm not, I mean, I'm glad you're here, but since I'm not getting a lot of interaction overall, I think I will end this live stream now. So have a good day.